Hello everybody, welcome to Queer Peer Reviews. Here review media's good, bad, and ugly. I'm your host, Bruce, and once again I'm here with my co-host, Justin.
Here at Queer Peer Reviews, we review your favorites and not so favorites of all different sorts of queer media.
And on today's Queer Media, we'll be talking about one of the best anime I've watched so far that is over 1,000 episodes and chapters long.
Still ongoing.
Still ongoing as we speak, One Piece. Now, if you're a new One Piece fan, you probably don't even know what the hell we're talking about.
But because you're a new One Piece fan, welcome. Welcome. Just, it's going to be a blast. You're going to have the greatest time, and you're going to have a long time. So that's always good.
So before we get into the queer conversation, let's talk about what One Piece is about. Wealth, fame, power. Gold Roger, the king of the pirates, attained this and everything else the world had to offer. And his dying words drove countless souls to the seas.
You want his treasure? You can have it. He left everything he gathered together in one place. Now, you just have to watch it.
These words lured men to the grand line, pursuit of dreams greater than they could even dare to imagine. This is time known as the Great One Piece Era.
So come along, bring all of your hopes and dreams, and together we will find the glory, the splendor, the excellence of One Piece.
Now, One Piece, it is about
It's about pirates. The shortest, briefest, it's about pirates.
If we can try to summarize 1,000 episodes, this is going to be a minute. So we'll just say it is about pirate Monkey D. Luffy and his crew members that try to find the One Piece, but they go through all these islands and adventures that this like reveals more how the world works and all these characters. And I think it's better we more reveal it as more we discuss further in the intro. So let's talk about the impact so far. Is that 2023 has been labeled as the year of One Piece because not only the manga has been like crazy lately with the new arc Egghead Island, the Netflix show live action came by, and surprisingly it was pretty good. And now this is season 2 confirmed.
Yes.
And obviously the anime, which at this video, the Wano arc has just ended, and by the way, the Wano arc is like the best arc.
Beautifully animated.
Now, for those new fans, you're probably wondering, why is it on Queer Peer Reviews? And for the old fans, you know why it's on Queer Peer Reviews, and that's because of the Impel Down arc. That's sort of like in the middle of the series, and it takes place in Impel Down, which is like this big prison complex that holds all the criminals and devil fruit user pirates. And Impel Down arc, Luffy is like trying to find his brother Ace, and along that he goes through all these adventures. But he also meets a very important character, which is
Ivankov,
and they are part of like the Revolutionary Army. They're like yeah.
There's a lot of it's hard to say spoilers. Because I feel like
spoilers.
In the anime community, there's so many like crossbred memes over different things, especially in shonen. So there's a lot that even for me, because I'm regrettably still catching up, but there's a lot of overlap and things that I've seen that have referenced different things in One Piece, and so this is like we said about midway through the series a little bit. But it's a huge. I feel like it plays a really large role, and people talk about that a lot in anime in general about there being filler. This is by no means a filler arc. This is not the first time that that Oda has spoken at length or written at length about LGBT themes in the story of One Piece. But this is by far, I would say, his most dedicated work to weaving these sort of themes into the story in a way that cannot be censored, without losing like critical information about the story and about the characters as well, Luffy especially.
And one of those so important aspects of Impelled Down, another queer character too, is Bon Clay, which we met earlier in the Alabasta arc.
Yes.
Which at first we thought it was going to be like one of those one-off villains. But that's the thing with One Piece is that when you think it's a one-off villain, they come back later and their role becomes more important, which is what happened with Bon Clay in Impelled Down arc. And he's not even much of a villain. He was like when we first met him, he was very like friendly with the Straw Hats.
I mean, I feel like what's so masterful about the characters of One Piece is how they're not just how they're written, but how they're portrayed. The way that Bon Clay especially is first brought into the story, he's meant to be an antagonist. He's meant to stop the team, the crew from progressing. But the more times he spends with them and the more they are able to express their ideas and their thoughts on certain things very almost instantly he's kind of like become a part of, like, people I guess would call it like a honorary Straw Hat. Like they become friends.
Exactly. And that's, like I said, and you see more of that Impel Down arc, where not only that, but when they finally meet Ivankov and like the rest of their crew, I remember the line, and I was watching the dub version, and he's like, it's like there's queer people like me, and I thought that sounded like very important for him, that there's other people that are just like him.
Yeah.
And that was the best, and that's why it was like such the biggest arc for queer representation, because you saw every variety of people. And another thing too, Ivanka has a devil fruit power that lets them like manipulate hormones on anyone. And there's a clip, they basically change the hormones of this like prison guard, and he turns into a woman, and she actually becomes more happy of her transformation, and thanks Ivankov. And
the other thing too as well is that Ivankov's design is based off of a very iconic,
from Rocky Horror Picture. I knew it was Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Instantaneously.
It was instantaneous. I knew Oda had good taste.
There are a lot of references, I think, to
all the characters are based off
different celebrities or different films and things. So there's a lot of that in the show. But not only that, there's also the emphasis on not just emotional intelligence, but I'm trying to remember correctly. In Impel Down, Ivankov meets Luffy, I think before he meets Bon Clay. I think they meet with Bon Clay at the same time, but Luffy was injured, and I remember at this point Luffy's lineage is not explored, or at least Ivankov doesn't know it, and so his only reason why because basically during the course of Impel Down there's fighting, and Luffy gets very severely injured, and the only reason why Ivankov helps him survive and live is because of his connection and the kindness and acceptance that he's given to Bon Clay. And it's I don't know if I would say it's subtle. I think it's very obvious to anybody with any sort of media literacy, but it's a very critical piece of the story in a way that, basically the whole story would have ended right there if Luffy had died. But he's able to live and survive through the connections he's made with people who felt like they couldn't connect, in theory, with anyone, or who have maybe been put in literal prison for just being themselves. It's an incredibly well-written arc, to be fair, but even more than that, it's incredibly critical and important character writing and character interactions between groups of people who've been maybe failed by society and things like that, which I love that.
And for some reason, if for some like rare reason there's like any homophobic One Piece fans, which is weird if you're still, Luffy's life, if it wasn't for like a certain amount of queer people, Luffy would have been dead.
Yeah.
So I think it was 3 or 4 times he was saved by like queer characters in general.
And it's not even, there's so many moments too, not even where he would have died, but where his crew would have died, or where the ship would have been destroyed. All sorts of different situations are effectively negated and navigated around, or through the help of like empathy, teamwork, but even more than that, like societal, like systemic, basically understanding, like, oh, this person is going through something and I can help them, I can break bread with them, I can do this or that. It's kind of funny. I feel like there's a meme online basically where Luffy will completely dismantle very systemic, institutionalized bullshit just because somebody gave him some food. And it's so cool to see that he truly wants people to be free. There's this liberation of characters, of plot, of all sorts of things.
And that's the idea, and that's why with Luffy mentioning about the freedom is that it's like, I think it was Rayleigh who asked him, was like, so you want to be king of the pirates so you can control everything? It's like, I don't want to control everything. I want to be the most freeing pirate ever. I want to be the most free pirate ever. And then that's when we really saw Gold Roger in him. Because that was the whole idea being, for him, the idea of being a king of the pirate is to just be free to do whatever.
Yeah.
And
free to be himself and
Exactly.
free to spend time with the people he loves and eat good food. And I mean, who can really say no to something like that? That's
And what says about and in the government in One Piece says a lot if like the revolutionary also includes like the LGBTQ community as well, because the government is just horrible in One Piece.
Yeah, the government. I mean, you say horrible. I feel like it's just a regular guy.
To be a Straw Hat, you have to be inclusive. There's no other way.
I think to be a One Piece man, you gotta be intersectional.
It'd be weird to see like a homophobic like One Piece fan. I'm like, so have you even made it to Impel Down?
Unless you're a villain, unless you really identify with being a scoundrel and a villain.
Fine, by all means.
By all
be
means, but
a Kuno.
But the real One Piece fans will rise to the occasion and we'll find our freedom through you.
Yeah.
Cut right through you.
In the Wano arc, there's a samurai named Kiko, and they don't reveal immediately that they are trans, but there are like some hints here and there. And if you look and like if you're watching the anime or the manga, there's scenes where you see that she has like a binder or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and you can even see in the backstories, Kiko looked a little more different than she did now, and that was one of the few trans characters that also helped Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
Another big one too is Yamato. And Yamato, he mostly identifies as Odin, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
He identifies as male, but specifically the character Odin, which is a fighter that fights Kaido. And funny enough too, Kaido, who's also one of the biggest like emperor villains, pretty dope villain too, he's dope. And he also accepts that Yamato is a boy. Like he accepts the pronouns. So if you don't accept pronouns, you're more evil than Kaido, which is saying something. Yes, that's wild. If a big villain can accept their son as they are, I mean, what do you do?
I think also it needs to be stated, and this is effectively a mark against the show, but there was a time where Oda wrote about what was it? I forget what the name of the island was, but the whole like Sanji arc thing. Where it wasn't, it wasn't great, but Oda like learned from that experience from having written about it, and he was trying to, I don't know, like he uses a lot of dangerous stereotypes in that arc, but he still tries to make them important in the sense that Sanji learns to embrace something that he had been kind of fighting against, or that he had been, kind of like chauvinistic and stuff, and like there's a lot of that with like Brook as well. But like the rest of the Straw Hats are relatively, sane, so they don't have to worry about it too much. And Luffy himself, it's arguable because of his like emotional intelligence and his interactions with like Boa and things like that. That like he has like he might not be a certain type of character. So it's really nice to see the sort of diversity that you have across the spectrum, and that not only that Oda, but the characters themselves go again through these transitions and learning things about the world, learning things about themselves, and learning things about others that allow them to accept people and understand them better.
Yeah, and then with the live action, they've been now because like the characters in One Piece have been confirmed with like they come from like different countries. Like I think Luffy's Brazil,
yeah,
or in South American at least, and Zoro's Japanese, and Sanji's, I think he's British. Well, that's what they did in live action. There's like a diverse now cast. So with that being said, I'm assuming there's going to be a little more certain, like maybe some queer representation, hopefully, in like more season 2, because they do change some characters a bit here and there, but so far they've been pretty the same. So I'm looking forward to live action to see what they do and how far they will go, because as much as I would love to see a live action like Gear 5, I don't know how far it's going to take them to get to that.
Yeah, it's going to take a bit.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, when I think about One Piece and its connection directly with the queer community, I feel like a lot of people got into One Piece without even knowing they were queer. Because it was such a long-standing old series, a lot of people got into One Piece before there were any queer themes, really. Like, it was just a story about freedom. It was a story about going on adventures with your friends. It was a stereotypical shonen at first, but very quickly, even within, I would say, maybe the first 2 arcs, you start to realize it's really about freedom in general, but it's also about acceptance. It's also about self-exploration and all sorts of other stuff. And slowly, as time went on, it became impossible for the story to tackle the things it wanted to tackle without talking about the queer experience, without talking about, you know, institutionalized hatred and all sorts of things like that. And so over the course of the series, it's just gotten more and more real. And I feel like that's one of the things that drags people, you know, brings people in and keeps them invested in the story, is that it feels real and it feels, you know what I mean? It almost feels like a story, like a fable that you would tell your kids. Like, oh yeah, there was this great pirate and he went from place to place, went from island to island, liberating people, saving people, eating good food, hanging out with his friends, all sorts of stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of people fell in love with it before they even knew that they themselves may or may not be, you know, queer or something else. And then they saw queer characters and saw themselves. And they saw queer characters and they saw people who could be saved, people who could do saving, people who were, you know, strong, people who were respected, people who were cared for. And in a household where maybe you didn't have anybody, or in a part of town where you didn't have anybody, that you know, what's the word? It was like, it's, you know, it was raw, but it was also real. That real depiction of people living their lives and being respected and being able to be the heroes of their own story. I think that's, you know, the song, the heart of it all.
It's such a freeing show. It's such a comfort show too. Like it's even like if you caught up with One Piece, it's like something like comforting to just watch. If you want to rewatch an arc, you can just go ahead.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I know some people who've rewatched One Piece multiple times, and I think they're
how is that even possible?
Don't ask me.
So thank you for watching, and we recommend checking on One Piece. And if you don't want to bother with that, you can just maybe watch the live action and then maybe get into the.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you start. It just matters that you enjoy it. And
I would also argue if you go to your local library, you'll probably have One Piece there. It's free.
Yeah,
it costs
you'll probably
nothing.
find the manga too.
Read it on your train ride home. Read it at your job when you're on break. You know, it's One Piece. It's for everyone.
I would say it's not about catching up. I say it's about enjoying the journey.
Exactly.
And that's what I did. I really enjoyed it. So, and leave us a comment on what your favorite One Piece character is. We want to know. Thanks for watching.
I've got. No, I don't know.
Cut it.